How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Sinister of the Gamer section giving you another interview with a dev. Of course, I'm your host. I'll go ahead and let our guest introduce himself.
I am the main and only developer of the game Synthwaves. The There's not much else to say other than that.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sure they can.
Mhm.
I'm sure they can see the name.
Yeah, will do. Oh, yeah. Before we go any further, hope you guys are enjoying this content. Just leave us a like, things like that. But with that out of the way, just go ahead and begin, and probably just start at the beginning. What got you into gaming?
As a kid, I remember my dad gave me a laptop and it had a bunch of games on it. That's where I started playing games. The games I remember, there's only one game I remember the name of. It's Feeding Frenzy. Um, there's some other game where some spaceships turned into phoenixes, but I can never remember the name of that.
Mhm.
The most influential game I've played, though, has been Little Big Planet, because Little Big Planet has like logic gates in it in the second and third games, anyways, which is probably where I got a it's where definitely teaches some things related to coding, but it's definitely where I started to have fun with that kind of thing.
Yeah, cool beans. Oh yeah, Little Big Planet. Yeah, because I never joined those games too. On PlayStation, and of course, the other one that you're Feeding Frenzy. Yeah, because the early days on the 360, I had fun playing those too. All right, but yeah, but go ahead moving forward. Like, what come? How did you come up with the name Bosskstudios?
Um, it comes from a family gamer tag, basically, because my dad, even before I was born, was using that as a gamer tag,
Mm-hmm.
because he worked in tech and he used to play games. I don't remember what the game was, but he played games with his boss, so he called himself Boss Killer.
Yeah, simple meaning. All right. Yeah, like, what year did you find this? Start up with Boss Killer Studios. Like,
Um, I think that was last year. It
oh,
started. I started making the game before there was a company, though.
okay. Basically, it's just like mainly you right now, or there's others.
It's mainly me. I do everything. There's another person who handles the Twitter account sometimes,
Okay.
but other than that, I do everything.
Okay. All right. Just go ahead and dive into your project. Synthwades. What is it all about? Is there like a story to it or anything
Um,
like that?
there is a story, but it's not really the main point of the game. I the game came about when I was just making a tower defense game kind of as practice for making games. But I had also been working on some synthwave music around the same time. Then I thought, what if I put these two things together? And that's essentially where the whole thing came from. Although the song I was working on doesn't actually show up in the game.
Okay. Oh, those are like had any inspiration, like any outside influences or things like that, other than probably like the music part.
There's some games that I've looked to for ideas when developing the game. Not games I was inspired by, but games that I looked to after to come up with concepts, mainly popular tower defense games like Plants vs. Zombies. I looked at some of that. I don't know if I took any ideas from it, though. I looked at Bloons tower defense. I think I might have gotten an enemy idea from that, but it's definitely a little different from anything in that game.
Oh,
And
that's
there's a mobile tower defense game called Tower Madness that I also played when I was younger, but I feel like that probably did influence a few of the game mechanics.
okay. Speaking of that, what is the gameplay all about? Like,
The gameplay is obviously it's a tower defense game. What I think makes it different from other tower defense games, though, is that the game has a fast pace, which is something that I think would be really difficult usually to get with tower defense. But the enemies in the game are really fast compared to most other games. Like the standard enemy is probably faster than the fast enemies in most other games. And there's some enemies that are way faster than that. So reaction time is definitely something that you have to account for in addition to planning that normally comes with tower defense.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because like I saw a little bit of it like on Steam. Of course, we talked about Steam a little bit, but seeing the gameplay, it's like yeah, it's like seeing how fast and smooth it is. Like before going into Steam, was like what did you use to create this game? Like any software that you use particular?
It's made in Unity.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because from past interviews, I've spoken to a few people that used it because I mean, I'm sure like everyone has like their own software. Then it's convenient for them like when it comes to creating their projects. So, what makes Unity like unique to you?
It's first of all, it was free to start using. That was a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The second part is that the game doesn't really use any super realistic graphics, so I don't really need to use something like Unreal Engine for it. And third, C# is similar to Java, which is the first language I learned. So it was pretty easy to start making games in Unity.
Oh, cool, Payne. And of course, moving on to Steam, it's like it was like were they like the first person you brought your project to, and just to get your demo out there?
Yes, I thought Steam was a pretty obvious choice since it's definitely the most popular PC game distribution place.
Mhm.
And that's about it. And also I don't distribute anywhere other than PC right now.
Okay. So basically, like no consoles, like pretty much the idea is dexed out.
There might be a mobile version of the game down the line. I'm not sure about that though. I don't think I would ever make a console version of it because the controls see I haven't figured out how the controls would really translate over to a controller.
Okay, that's understandable. Um, as far as like your presentations, like since you already mentioned like music in beginning of the interview, is like is there like any cutscenes probably to expand the story, or just any cutscenes between levels or things like that?
At the beginning of a level, there's characters who show up and say some dialogue. It uses that as a tutorial for the first level, but after that it's mostly just dialogue. They tell you about new guns you've unlocked, new enemies that are upcoming, but it's not a big part of the game. It's more of an extra thing. There will be a bigger story going on later, but it still won't be. It'll still take a second seat to the gameplay.
Okay. As far as your game goes, like how long did it take you to make this?
Um, I've been working on it for a while. I think early 2021 was when I was making. Um, no, it was actually I think it was about a year ago. I made the A year ago is when I was working on the tower defense before I had the game in mind. I was just practicing working on it, I think. I know I have a photo on my computer from around that time without any of the design of the game.
Mhm. Okay, it's understandable. As far as your game goes, like say like your game successful on Steam, like do you ever think about like releasing any DLCs or any expansions? Probably just to extend the game, or just pretty much like you probably gonna move on to other projects.
I think when I finish the game, if there are sufficient players, I might make an update. I don't know if I'll sell it. I think it might be a free update.
Okay, that's cool. Other than that, like, do you like have any like other plans like for like a different game, like probably down the line, or probably going to stick to this genre that that
I
you
de-
mhm.
I definitely have a lot of plans for other games. They are definitely in different genres too. I've written down documentation for a bunch of potential games.
Mhm.
None of them are tower defense.
Okay.
There's only one game that I've done any work on though, which is a game where it's an analog space game, like looking through a map of space, but it's through an analog device.
Okay.
I think that game would be a multiplayer game, but it hasn't really come very much into fruition yet. Right now, it's just a random generator that generates a bunch of stars, which all look the same until you click on them.
Mhm.
And the stars randomly generate stats. It always the thing is it always has the same seed of random generation, so every player would see the same thing. But right now the stars don't generate the same, so it's definitely very early.
Okay. Uh, Going back to synthwaves, like, is it like gonna have like single player or have like multiplayer, aspects?
Synthwaves would definitely just be single player. I don't think I could come up with any kind of multiplayer thing.
That's cool. Like other than your the tower defense genres, like any other genres that's your favorite?
A genre that I like
Hmm.
is probably horror, not really the kind of like free roam horror, like SCP Containment Breach,
Hmm.
that kind of game. One of the games I planned that I would like to make is like that, except with original monsters, not SCPs.
Well, that's cool. Let's say like a game like that, is it gonna be like in first person or third person?
It would be like first person. It would be a single player game with like you're trying to survive in a big building.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, because like speaking of that, because somebody I interviewed probably a few months ago had like kind of like the same story like that. He kind of came up with a game like that, kind of similar. It's like Die Hard mixed in with horror kind of things, like just trying to fight to survive. That kind of vibe, which is really cool. It's like you like any other like action adventure games, come to mind other than okay, you say you love the horror aspect, and pretty much you already got tower defense thing out right now.
Well, the the game Prey from 2017, there's two Prey games, so I should specify. I like how that game works. It's not a horror game, but the way it works, like it makes backtracking fun, which isn't normally something that happens because the whole environment of the game keeps changing as you progress through it. So going back to an old area,
Mhm.
there's new stuff to deal with. That's kind of what I would base my horror game idea off of.
Okay. Okay. So pretty much after this game, what's the next project you plan on working on next?
Probably the space game I talked about before, since it's the only thing I've done any work on,
Mhm.
but it might be something smaller.
Okay. Uh, you're pretty much gonna be the same thing, like release it on Steam and hope it get a lot of traction.
I'll probably release any game I make on Steam unless something big changes. I think one game, which is like a dream game, so very far in the future, that I'd like to make, might need its own console to run because it's a very ambitious idea. But other than that, I'd probably put everything on Steam.
Yeah, seems like it's always been the go-to. It's pretty much like the favorite to go to because
Well, Steam is very convenient to use, so it's the most popular thing for most people to use.
Right. I know because usually you see a lot of games like other than coming to Steam because basically you have what's an Epic Store and GOG, but I mean because usually everybody has like their favorite to go to. It's like especially they want to get the foot in the door. Usually, of course, Steam's always a good one to go to. It's like, but as far as like any future games, like do you plan like collaborating with somebody or just continue to work just like on your own?
I'd definitely prefer if there are other people working on a game with me, because I don't consider myself a good modeler. I definitely don't consider myself a good marketer. There's definitely a lot of areas where my development isn't that strong.
Mhm.
Some of the games that I want to make would definitely require someone else. Like maybe not the space game I have. I could probably do that by myself because that game is mostly code.
Right.
But the stuff I like doing is coding and music. Anything else, I would definitely appreciate someone helping.
Yeah, it's always good. It's like someone's always strong in certain areas. That way, you can combine, like come together and just have everything fit together like a glove. But other than that, let's just say you said like you had someone like to help with the marketing, like especially with this game because just they're probably stronger at promoting it and handling like that aspect, like the business part.
Um, sort of.
Okay, well, will do. But other than that, I pretty much like sums up everything. Yeah, but before we go, let you go. You want to tell like the audience where they can find you at, like any social media accounts they can follow you, keep a track of everything.
The game social media is at Synthwaves Game. There's also the business social media, which right now just retweet stuff from the first account, but we'll eventually have some other stuff on it, which is at Bosskstudios.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there should be an update. The first major update to the game should be coming out today, which adds a lot of stuff that should flesh out the game. Like, there's a in-game book that describes every enemy and turret you can get in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there are endless modes in the update,
Okay.
as well as some other quality of life and accessibility stuff.
Okay, that's good to know. Like I said, it's been an honor interviewing you, and of course, to close things out, everyone. Of course, this is your host, Sinister. Of course, you can follow me on my social medias. Conjure19, that's my Twitter handle, and Sinister1019, which is my Instagram. And that concludes, their interview with the dev. Stay tuned for more, interviews in the future. Y'all have a good night.